he, along with another number of other people, believes that if there is to be a change in Egypt and the Muslim Brotherhood comes in, then it'll be a society along the lines of that in Turkey, a secular society.
Well, there are many possibilities, and we can speculate on that, but I think it is clear by the Muslim Brotherhood's own statements that they do want to be part of a broader coalition of parties in government, and that they submit to the will of the people who and the protesters who, by and large, have led a young secular movement.
Thank you very much, Salman, for your analysis on what we've been hearing and what we've been seeing. We're going back to London. More news now from Julie MacDonald.
Thanks very much, David. That's right, the vote in southern Sudan took place last month. Just a week ago, preliminary results showed that 99.5% of people voted for independence from the north. But many challenges still lie ahead, as Harun Mutasa reports from Juba, that's in southern Sudan.
People in southern Sudan prepare to celebrate independence from the north. Final results from last month's referendum will be announced Monday, making it official the region will become the world's newest nation. Expectations from people who've lived through decades of conflict are high.
We just wish good success. Everybody should get a job opportunity.
Government is sure to reduce all the price of the commodity. That brought corruption in the country. When someone have no money, even though you have £100, you can't buy something in the market.
The comprehensive peace agreement signed in 2005 ends on the 9th of July. The South will then officially become an independent country.
People here hope independence will bring new beginnings and a more developed southern Sudan, but they also know the road ahead will not be easy.
According to the United Nations, more than half the population lives on less than $1 a day. There is high unemployment, and many don't have access to clean running water. Much of the infrastructure was destroyed during the Civil War. It's a nation starting from scratch.
The government is well aware of the difficulties that we will face as a new country. It is going to be very, very, very challenging to try to rebuild the economy that has not been existing actually. 50 years without anything in the south.
Another concern is the influx of people returning to the region, stretching already limited resources. Clashes between defectors from the Sudan People's Liberation Army and rebel groups like the Lord's Resistance Army have raised security concerns. The South needs help from the international community to address its most pressing needs. Officials also need to attract foreign direct investment. Celebrations have started, but the challenges of building a new country are enormous. Harun Mutasa, Al Jazeera, Juba, Southern Sudan.
In Côte d'Ivoire, thousands of people have voiced their anger at Burkina Faso's president trying to help resolve the post-election crisis. The youths are loyal to incumbent President Laurent Gbagbo, who refuses to step down after Alassane Ouattara was ruled the winner of November's election. Gbagbo supporters are suspicious of Blaise Compaoré and the African Union's involvement. Now time for a quick news update on our earlier story regarding those clashes on the Thai-Cambodia border over a disputed 11th century temple. We heard that violent clashes have taken place there from our correspondent Wayne Hay earlier. Now, according to Agence France Presse, that temple itself has been damaged in those clashes. Former US President Bush has been forced to cancel a visit to Switzerland next week after threats of legal action against him were taken. Now, human rights groups say George Bush ordered the torture of terrorism suspects, and they want a criminal investigation to begin. According to Amnesty International, he admits in his memoirs he authorized the controversial waterboarding technique. Left-wing groups are threatening mass protests if he enters the country. The ceremonies are taking place in California in the US, marking the centenary of the birth of the former President Ronald Reagan. For some renowned Republican politicians, it's a chance to link themselves to one of the party's most celebrated icons. Kony Abkavi has more.
As an actor, he was overshadowed by bigger stars. As a president, few can match his legacy. But that hasn't stopped Republicans from trying to play the part.
I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit, for political purposes, my opponent's youth and inexperience.
Ronald Reagan's self-deprecating manner endeared him to most Americans. And on the 100th anniversary of his birth, today's conservatives are lining up to salute the man and issue a warning.
Though government created the problem, now government presents itself as the solution.
America's 40th president sold himself as a champion of limited government.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Reagan reformed the tax code and deregulated markets.
We're going to turn the bull loose.
But he also exploded the national debt with defense spending. He fought the Cold War much more aggressively than his predecessors.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
In reality, Reagan was a far more divisive leader. His approval ratings often hovered around 50%, but his Republican descendants have elevated his status to icon of the conservative movement.
He refused to sit down and be silent as our liberties were eroded by an out-of-control, centralized government that overtaxed and overreached in utter disregard of constitutional limits.
A new generation of Republican politicians are connecting themselves to his legacy in an apparent bid to boost their political fortunes. In doing so, they hope to emulate Reagan's electoral successes and sweep Barack Obama out of the White House.
Thank you. God bless you and God bless him.
Cody Akavi, Al Jazeera.
Well, that's all from here in London. Now it's back to you, David, in Doha.
And from the great communicator, Mr. Reagan himself, to another one who finds it effortless, Andy.
You're so kind, David. Formula One star Robert Kubica has been seriously injured in a high-speed rally crash in Italy. The 26-year-old has suffered multiple fractures to his right arm, leg and hand. This the wreck he left behind. Kubica on his way to the start line for a race in Genoa when he smashed into a church wall. The Pole had to be airlifted from the crash scene, and his Lotus Renault team have confirmed he's now undergoing surgery. His co-driver, Jakob Gerber, escaped uninjured. The new F1 season will start on March the 13th. That's in Bahrain. Italian league leaders AC Milan, they're in action right now. Their match also at Genoa, just coming up to the final whistle. Brazil's Alexander Pato puts Milan ahead on the half-hour mark. Mid-table Genoa level just before the break. Antonio Flores even, who's just signed on loan from Udinese with the equaliser. 1-1 the score. Just a couple of minutes remaining in that one. On Saturday, Juventus edged up to 7th with this win over Cagliari. Last week, Alessandro Matri was a Cagliari player, but the on-loan striker scored 2 for his new club Juve in this victory. Luca Toni also scoring his 100th Serie A goal. That wrapped up a 3-1 win. The big game in the English Premier League starts in just a few minutes' time. Fernando Torres is starting in his first match for Chelsea. He's taking on his former club Liverpool as well. The Spanish striker has said he won't celebrate if he scores following that $80 million move. Chelsea need a win to consolidate 4th spot in the league. In Spain, Barcelona have taken a 10-point lead at the top of the league after yet another Lionel Messi-inspired win. This time the Argentinian tormenting the defenders of Atletico Madrid. Barca easing their way to a 3-0 win. It was their 16th straight league victory. That's broken Real Madrid's 50-year-old record of consecutive league wins. Messi's 3rd hat-trick of the season. He's now scored 24 league goals. He's closing in on Hugo Sanchez's long-standing record of 38 goals in a season. Struggling Levante caused a huge shock. They ended Villarreal's unbeaten home record. Villarreal had the chance to move within 3 points of second-placed Real Madrid, but that goal from Valmir Valdo gave Levante the 1-0 win. Now, the chief executive of the International Cricket Council believes the minimum 5-year bans handed out to the 3 Pakistan players sends a clear message that corruption won't be tolerated in the sport. Raul Pathak reports from Doha.
The chaotic, almost jubilant scenes outside the Qatar Financial Centre on Saturday, in keeping with the widely held view that Salman Butt, Mohammed Amir and Mohammed Asif hadn't received the harsh punishment many were expecting. Butt was banned for 10 years with 5 years suspended. Asif was given a 7-year ban with 2 suspended, while Amir was banned for 5 years. Back home in Pakistan, the former Test captain vowed the fight was still not over.
We are disappointed with the decision. We do not agree with it. But the judge himself has said the law had not been made for this kind of event. So there is a need to amend the law.
Despite Butt's fighting words, the judgment does look likely to end his international career at 26 years of age. Also, the 28-year-old Mohammad Asif is unlikely to play for Pakistan again. But for the 18-year-old Mohammad Amir, his career is still very much